This is a toile, cut from my basic body block. A prototype garment made from scrap fabric that can be fitted precisely to the wearer's body. Fitting a toile and updating your body block to match means that you will be able to use the resulting pattern as the starting point for all your garments, confident that it will always fit. To start, you will need a body block pattern. This can be taken from a commercial pattern, one you have cloned from an existing garment, or draft one yourself following my body block guide. I'm using my drafted body block with no seam allowance. I cut a length of tracing paper, slightly longer than my pattern, and fold it in half lengthways. I tape this over my pattern, making sure both sides of the paper cover the pattern and the fold lines up with the centre line of the block. I can then trace the pattern. I also include the chest and waistline and note any additional information about the pattern. I cut out the tracing paper, unfold it, and on the mark side, cut out the front neck curve. This is now my working pattern. I bring in my toile fabric, in this case a second-hand bedsheet. I fold the sheet over with the grain of the fabric running parallel to the fold, and place the pattern with the fold on the fold of the fabric and mark out the pattern's edge. I'll add seam allowance to the side seam, shoulder seam, and sleeve hole. I mark up the panel with all the relevant information, including the chest and waistline, then cut out. I repeat this process to make the front panel, this time unfolding the pattern to mark the front neck curve. With the two panels cut, I add a straight stitch on the shoulder and side seams, with the seam allowance on the outside and the marked sides facing out. And this is my toile. I can now begin the process of fitting. I won't pretend that I'm an expert at this, but my plan is to make this comfortable and focus on the silhouette. The first thing I notice is the armholes feel too high, but I'll tackle that later. The neckline seems too open. I pinch out the excess fabric and pin in place. This creates an excess of fabric in the back that I also pinch out and secure with a safety pin. Obviously, having someone help with this process would be a boon. Pinning the neck has changed the position of the shoulder point, but it still seems too long to me. I want the shoulder seam to finish precisely at the top of my shoulder. If I want to make a garment with a drop shoulder, I can make this modification to the pattern later. I focus on one arm and fold and mark until I have something I'm happy with. Otherwise, I like the boxy fit as it helps disguise my pot belly. I rip the seams and return to my original pattern. I cut in the new sleeve shape on the front panel and measure the amount of fabric I want to remove from the neckline. This turns out to be 6 centimeters, so I measure 3 centimeters from the center point and cut a notch into the neckline. I line up the notch with the center of the neckline on the pattern. The outside edge of the panel and the pattern no longer match up, but I will extend the underarm of the sleeve hole to the original edge and maintain the chest circumference. With the panel placed, I mark out the changes. I decide to add a centimeter to the neckline, as when pinned it was a bit tight to take off. I repeat the process with the back panel. Notch the new center point, copy the shoulder seam length from the front panel, mark out the new curve and cut it out. The panel is placed and I'm really happy to see that both sleeve curves are very similar, but the back is a little deeper. This seems like a sign I'm doing something right. I mark in the new back neckline and the modifications to the pattern are finished. Obviously, I don't trust that this is perfect, so I'm going to make another toile and see where I'm at. I duplicate the pattern as before, choosing to go with the lower of the two sleeve curves. I add notation and cut out. This is then used to make toile version 2, and I'm happy. The position of the shoulder point is spot on. In terms of faults, there is an A-line shape to the garment in profile, but that could be fixed with darts on a fitted garment, and actually, kinda like it. The neckline is a little pointed. It was a mistake to add the extra centimetre at the shoulder seam. I should have notched only 2 centimetres away from the centre point, but I'll add a note to that effect on the pattern, and we'll redraft it when I come to using this for an actual garment. When I roll my shoulders forward, there's an excess of fabric at the back that I'm hoping will settle down once a sleeve is in place, but right now it's beyond my skill level to manipulate. And that's the thing about fitting. It's a skill that develops over time with experience and practice. With these 3 films, I have all the information needed to draft patterns for my custom top designs. There will be additions to this series as I learn new techniques, including drop shoulders, yokes, and shaping. I'll also revisit this film once I have a bit more experience. I just want to share that these films have kind of killed the analytics on the channel. So if you do want more of this kind of content, please let me know with a comment. Give the video a like and share it with one of your sewist friends. Thanks very much for watching, and if you like this little sewing channel, why not subscribe?